Hi everyone! In this video we're going to learn about angles of elevation and depression. They're best illustrated if we consider an example with two people where one of them is standing at the bottom of the cliff and one is standing at the top of the cliff. And let's say that these two people are looking at each other. Then the angle of elevation is the angle between the horizontal ray and the line of sight that's going upwards. Angle of depression is defined in a similar way. It's the angle between the horizontal line and the line of sight going downward. I'd like to emphasize that in both definitions, one of the sides of the angle would be a horizontal ray. Try to keep that in mind. What else can we say about angle of depression and angle of elevation? Well, since both involve horizontal ray, that means that here we have two parallel lines, right? And if we look at this line of sight as transversal, realize that angle of depression and angle of elevation are alternate interior angles, and therefore they're equal. Okay, well, that's pretty much all we need to know right now to try some application problems. Let's do an example. As always, we start by reading the problem and getting just a general idea of the situation. So here it says that police in a helicopter are searching for a bank robber. The helicopter is hovering 540 meters above the bank and shining its searchlight on a house that is 820 meters away from the bank. At that moment, what is the angle of depression from the helicopter to the house? Okay, so we got general ideas, something about house, bank, helicopter, bank robbers, so a lot of information, right? But this all should start make more sense as we read the problem again and start making a labeled sketch. That's an important step when you do application problem of this kind. Never skip it. Okay, let's read it again. Police in a helicopter are searching for a bank robber. So we need helicopter. Here it is. The helicopter is hovering 540 meters above the bank. Let's sketch this part of the sentence. So the helicopter is above the bank, and it specifically says that it's 540 meters above the bank. So let's assume that this distance is 540 meters. Let's continue reading. And shining its searchlight on a house that is 820 meters away from the bank. Okay, so there should be a house 820 meters away from the bank. Here's the house, and let's label the segment. It's 820 meters from the bank. Now, helicopter is shining its searchlight, so we need segment illustrating the searchlight from the helicopter to the house. Let's read the first two sentences one more time just to confirm that we got it right. Police in a helicopter are searching for a bank robber. The helicopter is hovering 540 meters above the bank and shining its searchlight on a house that is 820 meters from the bank. Looks good. Now the question. At that moment, what is the angle of depression from the helicopter to the house? So we need to find angle of depression. Well, to be able to find it, first we need to locate it on our sketch. As any angle is going to have two sides. One of them is the line of sight, and since it's an angle of depression, the line of sight that goes downward, well, I think that one is pretty intuitive. So from the helicopter to the house, that's going to be one side of that angle of depression. But what is the other side? Here's our definition again. Remember that it's the angle between a horizontal ray and a ray going downward. So that means that we need to draw a horizontal line or ray going from helicopter, like that. So the angle of depression will be between this horizontal ray and the ray going downwards, the line of sight going downwards. In other words, this angle here, that's what we need to find. Now, as we look at our sketch, we can already see a triangle, right? In fact, it's going to be the right triangle, since according to the problem, the helicopter is right above the bank. Okay, while we have this triangle here, the angle we need to find is not in that triangle. What do we do? Well, there are options. One option would be to construct another triangle that contains our unknown angle, and we can do it by drawing a line here. Or we can use the fact that we have two parallel lines here, this horizontal array and this segment that represents the distance from the bank to the house. They're both horizontal lines, so they're parallel. The segment representing the search line is the transversal. Therefore, we have alternate interior angles, which are congruent. So if we'll label angle that we need to find, the angle of depression, with x, it's going to be equal to this angle here, which is actually the angle of elevation, right? So now we can use this right triangle to find x. Let's see what we know. So it looks like we know the side that's opposite to angle x and side that's adjacent angle x. Which trigonometric function involves opposite and adjacent side? Well, it's the tangent function. So tangent of angle x is the opposite side over adjacent. So tangent of angle x is the opposite side is 540 meters and the adjacent side is 820 meters. So that gives us the value of tangent of angle x. But what is angle x itself? When we know function value and we need to find angle itself, that's where we use inverse trigonometric function. That's the one that produces angle measure. So to find angle x, we have to take the inverse tangent function and input 540 over 820. I'm not going to approximate it at this point because I want my answer to be as accurate as possible. That's how I will enter it in the calculator. On my calculator, the inverse tangent function is written right above the tangent button. So I have to activate it by pressing Shift and then tangent. Okay, tangent inverse, and then I'm entering 540 over, which is same as divide by 820. That equals to, okay, that is the value. There are no directions in this problem how to round it. So let's just decide ourselves. Let's say we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. So that means that we need to keep one decimal place. So the first digit after the decimal point is 3. Since 6 follows it, it means that we have to round up, and that's going to be 33.4. So x equals approximately 33.4 degrees. We use the right triangle to find the measure of this angle, but it has exactly the same measure as the angle of depression that we needed to find. Since we were solving the application problem, I'm going to use full sentence to write down the answer. Okay, so the angle of depression from the helicopter to the house is approximately 33.4 degrees. And at the end of this video, I'd like to emphasize one more time that in this kind of application problems, you want to start by making a labeled sketch. And then when you work with angles of depression or elevation, don't forget that one of the sides is always a horizontal ray.